Hi guys, my name is Jess and I'm one of the creative designers here at Sizzix. Today I want to share with you some making essential makes. So I'm going to show you how to make two lovely cards just like these ones here, using some of our fantastic making essentials from shrink plastic, stencil film, adhesive sheets, glitter, sequins and beads, all that fun stuff. And I'm going to run through it with you step by step so you can see them all and see how they work and how to use them. So if you want to check that out, make sure to keep on watching. Okay, so we're going to start with the first make, which is going to be a card, and I want you to start off with, this was a piece of A4 paper, and all I did was cut it down to 15 centimetres. So if you've got a mat underneath you, this is really helpful because you can do it by squares, and you can just do 15 squares this way, and then this way is just the size of an A4 paper, okay? And then you can fold that in half. Okay. And then fold the first bit back on itself. So we're going to create like a three-fold card, almost, okay? So you're going to have something that opens up like that. So I've got one that I made the lines a little cleaner, and that's how your card is going to sit. Then I want to use some of our Sizzix pattern paper, and this is really good because it's patterned on both sides. It comes in a variety of different colours, and it's really nice because it works perfectly with our colour story. So any colour that you pick or pattern that you pick from here, there'll be a colour that matches perfectly in our regular textured cardstock, okay? And there's tons of patterns, like as you can see, and loads of colours to pick from. So I'm going to go with a yellow and blue theme. So I've picked my pattern paper and I've cut it to the size of my back piece of card. So I've got a little border around of the white, and then I've got my patterned paper at the back, so there's just a little white border, and then I'm going to stick that in place. You could use glue if you wanted, but for flat things I tend to use our Sizzix adhesive roller, just because it doesn't leave any residue or anything behind or create any bubbles or anything. So I'm just going to pop this along here and then pop that down. So we have that there. That's stuck on the background, okay? So you've got your pattern background and your folded bit at the front. Now we're going to make this front bit a little bit more interesting, and I'm going to use some shrink plastic. So I'm going to bring that to one side and bring in the shrink plastic. Hopefully you can see that with it being still in the shiny packaging. But the shrink plastic, you get 10 sheets. They're all A4 size, and it's a really interesting medium to work with because you can cut your big dies with it, and then you can apply heat and it actually shrinks down, and you can also apply colour to it as well, and I'm going to show you how to use it today. So I've cut a little bit of shrink plastic down, so hopefully you can see how it is. So it's shiny on one side and it's matte on the other side, which means that you can apply colour to the matte side and change the colour of the shrink plastic, okay? And I'm going to use a big die. This is from chapter 1. I believe it's spring flowers. And I'm going to cut, there's two different size flowers on here, and I've cut 2 of these smaller flowers, and I'm going to cut 3 of these larger flowers. But just for today's video, I'm just going to cut 1 of the larger flower. And just bring in my machine. Because it's a big die, I don't want this bottom part, so I'm going to put that to one side. and sandwich my big die between those two plates. Ooh. Okay, so that's cut out, and we've got one of those larger flowers. You can see it cuts out perfectly, no problems, particularly with the big dies. And I tend to go with bolder shapes for the shrink plastic because, as the name suggests, it is going to shrink down, so you want something a little bit bolder and bigger in shape, so it's not too intricate that when it shrinks down it's too small or it breaks or something like that. Okay, now to colour the flower, I'm going to use some of the Sizzix permanent markers, and you will find that once you heat up this plastic, the colour does get a little bit more vibrant, so don't panic if you can't see the colour initially as bright as you want it on the shrink plastic. Okay, I'm going to use some of the blue shades, and these are great because these have a fat end and a thin end, so if I was doing something a little bit more intricate I could use the thin end, but for this sake I'm going to use the fat end because I just want to cover this completely. And this colour is a perfect example of that the colour doesn't show up as vibrant until we use heat. Okay. So make sure that's all coloured in on the back of there. And then we can bring in our heat gun. So this is the dual speed heat gun, and we're going to use that to heat it up. But you're also going to want something to protect your surface. Now this is from the shrink plastic accessories kit, and if you are using shrink plastic, it is a great thing to have because it comes with this little mat as well as the stomping tool. I'm going to show you how useful they are now. So I'm going to pop my flower underneath and then the mat over the top, and then I'm going to heat it up and you'll see it shrink and get smaller, and then I'll flatten it out using the stomping tool on the edge here. Okay, so just for a couple of seconds using the highest heat, and you'll start to see it shrink and shrivel up. There we go. And just keep going, it means it's doing it right. You want all the bits to almost shrivel up and then go back down flat. And then I'm going to take that off and then use this and just flatten it. Okay, give it a couple of seconds to cool down, and then you can peel it off, and there you have your flower. And hopefully you can see that that's a little bit brighter than when we originally put the colour down. And for this card I've got 3 of the larger flowers in the lighter colour, and then I've done 2 of the smaller flowers in a darker colour, so you can see how they show up. And you can either have them on the matte side or the shiny side, it's completely up to you. Okay, so I've got 5 of those, and I can bring back in my card. So this is my card front, and these flowers are going to sit along this fold line. Okay, and I'm going to arrange them along here. I'm not sure whether to have them shiny side or matte side up. I think I might have them shiny side up actually. And then I'm going to arrange them along there. To secure them in place, I'm going to use a hot glue gun and just pop a little dab of glue on the back. And then have them half on the white and half on the pattern background. Okay, so just keep going. I'm going to glue them all in place. You don't need much of the hot glue, just a little dab will do it. Just keep in mind you want to have enough space. So. And obviously I've gone for like yellow and blue theme on my card, but you could change up the colour scheme if you wanted. That's perfectly fine, just by changing the pattern paper and the pen colour that you choose to colour the shrink plastic, you can change it up. And my last one, there we go. Okay. Now, I think I want to enhance these a little bit more, and I might use some sequins to pop in the centre. Now, the sequins and beads come in stacks like this, and you get 5 different kinds of sequins and beads in each set, and they're all obviously colour coded. So here I've got a gold one, here is a yellow, so this is the limoncello, this one is the green tea one. So it's completely up to you, obviously, which colour you prefer, and they come in all the colours of the colour story, and they're really handy to store in these little really neat pots, and they look lovely all stacked together, I think. So I think I'm going to use either the gold or the yellow, but I'll just see what they look like. So I'll just pop these to one side. So you just pop off the top, and then you can unscrew the top and pop them here. So that is with the gold centres. They look really good, actually. I think I'm going to do that for the larger ones. So again, I might actually take some of my tweezers and just use a little dab of hot glue and pop them on. You could also use express glue to glue these down. I'm just using my hot glue gun because it's already on. And again. Actually pop that there. And glue that down. Okay. I might actually leave that as it is, but you could also use the beads, and you could stack up the beads just by using some hot glue. So there's loads of different options there. I just wanted to add a little bit of accent with those gorgeous sequins and beads, and you can see how easy they are to store and stack away. Okay, so we've almost there with our card. I think the last thing we need is some form of sentiment down the side here. Now, I'm going to use 2 different kinds of fonts, and I'm going to make one of them slightly glittery, I think. So I'm going to move this slightly to one side, and the die I'm going to use for the first bit is the bold alphabet die from chapter 1, and I want it to say happy birthday. So the first bit I'm going to just have happy in this font, and what I've done is I've already pre-cut them, and I stuck some adhesive sheet. I'll just grab some to show you. Some adhesive sheet to the back and to the front of my cardstock before I cut it out with that die. Now, the adhesive sheet is great because these sheets are super handy if you're doing more intricate dies, but also they come in use when you're adding glitter to something. So that's what I'm going to use this for, because it gives me a nice even layer of glitter, and it's just really smooth and way better than using glue, I think, particularly on die cuts. So that's what I've done. I've stuck a sheet to the front of my cardstock, and I even stuck a sheet to the back so that it was easy to stick down onto my card front, and then I ran it through my machine and I came out with my letters. Now I'm going to glitter these. So just by peeling off the top layer, so you can probably see that it shows the card stock underneath. And I'm going to peel off the top layer and add some glitter. It can be a bit fiddly to peel these off, but it should be fine. Oh, I've peeled off the back one there. Oops. Let's peel the front one off. Okay, got my pea. The problem with them being sticky on the front, you kind of want to avoid touching them once you take the layer off. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I've placed them in the Sizzix funnel tray because I want to catch the glitter, the excess that's not going to obviously stay on the letters. This is the mint julep glitter, I believe, just to go with that greeny blue theme. But obviously, again, the same as the sequins and beads, the glitters all come in our colour story. So they match the cardstock, they match the sequins and beads, they match the permanent pens, they match the pattern paper. It all goes together. So if you want something that's all one tone, it's really super easy. And the glitters are just amazing. They're just so shimmery, super fun, and the colours are really, really nice and vibrant as well. So I'm going to just dust that over those letters, like so. And just take my tweezers and shake off the excess. Bit like a treasure hunt trying to find them. There's my A there. Okay. So we've got that there, and then I can just empty that excess back into my glitter pot. And then I can bring in my card. So I'm going to put happy along here, and then I'm going to put birthday in a different font like I showed you. So first I'm going to stick these down, I think. So because I put that adhesive sheet on the back as well, I can just pick them up and peel off that back layer. Don't worry if some excess glitter falls off, because we have used that adhesive sheet, it's going to stay there. You're going to have a layer of glitter, so it's not a problem. And then I'm just going to turn this to face me and start to layer those up. Okay. So I'm working vertically with my sentiment just to use the best of this space here. But you could use all these techniques and just change up the composition of the card, which is absolutely fine. Almost there. Okay, so we've got our happy, and then we need our birthday. Before I put my birthday down, I'm just going to bring back in that funnel tray and just tap off any excess glitter. And you can even just give it a quick puff of air, and that'll blow away any extra glitter. Okay, then we have the last little bit to go on. So like I said, I was going to use a different font, and this one is the Script Sentiments from Chapter 1. This is the only one that I have in pretty packaging, but I'm just taking the birthday from this die set. You could even use any of those if you didn't like using the bold alphabet. You can glitter these exactly the same, that's fine. I just wanted to change it up. And I've already pre-cut mine, again with some adhesive sheet on the back, but I've actually cut it from some gold opulent cardstock. So I'll just show you in the packaging. This is the opulent cardstock. It comes in gold, silver, rose gold, ivory and charcoal. And there are 5 different kinds of textures in each set. So you get a glitter, a matte, a brush metal, a pearl and a mirror cardstock, and they're just amazing to add a little bit of shine and shimmer to your makes, particularly with sentiments, I find. So you could use whichever opulent you prefer, and you can add that to add a little bit of shine to your cards. So I've done that. I've just cut some of the brushed metal cardstock out. Again, like I said, I put the adhesive sheet on the back and then just die cut it out of that. And then I'm just going to peel that back layer off, and I'm just going to pop it here, I think. Like so. The good thing about adhesive sheets as well, if you're not fully happy, just don't press it down too hard and you can pick it up and move it, and it's not going to leave any marks behind on your background. Okay, so if I just shake off all that glitter and then you can see the final result. There we go. So that is the first card using some of the pattern paper, the shrink plastic, and some of the glitter. So that one's there. And then I'm going to show you another one quickly. The second card, I'm going to use this die from chapter 1. I believe it's Rainbow Magic die, if I've got that correct. And I'm going to use the clouds first from this die set. So I've just got my cardstock cut to the square size. So I just did exactly the same for the first card, except I'm not going to fold it back. I'm going to leave it as that folded square. And then I'm going to use some stencil film. Now, stencil film, just like the shrink plastic, you get 10 sheets. It's all A4. It's just used for that different purpose of stenciling. So I'm just going to open that up. And take a sheet out to show you. Now it's quite thin, it is translucent, so you can use it as a different media if you wanted something slightly hidden behind a layer. That's also a really good use for it, but I'm going to use it for its intended purpose today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw around, actually I'm going to put it on top, I think that would make more sense. Draw around this so I know where the edges of my card are going to be. And then cut just around the edge. Okay, so we've got that there. So that is going to be the size of the front of the card. No matter whether your card's square or rectangle or what, you want it slightly bigger than the front of your card. Okay, that's really important. Now we're going to create a repeat pattern almost, or a stencil, using the clouds from this die set. So I'm going to run it through the machine, and I'm just going to place these several times in different spaces to get this stencil. Okay, so just bring in my machine, and we're going to want that platform because we're using thinlits. And you're going to pop it there, and you're just going to arrange these all over the stencil film. So I'm going to take those dies off, and then these clouds that were cut out, we don't need those. Because you just want what is left behind. So if you kept going with the design and kept cutting those clouds out, you'd end up with something that looks like that. Now, obviously, this is a hint to what I'm going to do next because I've already used this, but you want a sporadic cloud pattern, basically, in your stencil film. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place it over my card and turn it around so you can see. Place it over my card, and this is where the lines that I drew also come in handy because I can line those up. And then I'm going to take some maker's tape and just pop some maker's tape in the corners to keep the stencil film in place. Okay. There we go. And then I can use that as a stencil on my card. What I'm going to use as a stencil is I'm going to use some distressing. This is the Peacock Feathers Tim Holtz distressing, and then I'm going to use my multi-tool with the blending head attachment on and the sponge, and then I'm going to dip it into the distressing and then just dab over those clouds. Okay, you can dabbing, I find, is a little bit better just because it means that it doesn't disrupt the film too much, and you can keep going and adding the ink, and you could even layer up a couple of colours if that's what you wanted to do, and then when you peel it off you'd have those lovely clouds in the background. So I'm just going to turn this over, and this is one that I did earlier, so it's nice and dry. Okay, so you've got that lovely cloud formation, cloud pattern in the background. Yeah, so that's kind of how you use the stencil film. I'm just going to add a couple more elements to the front of my card to finish it off. Obviously, we've got the rainbow that I've already made up from the die set. So this is just made up with cardstock, and then I stuck it together using some express glue. So that's really easy to do. And then I wanted to do a sun element in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut this from some, this has been Banana Blast cardstock. I'm just going to bring my machine in one more time and die cut this sun element. So we've got that sun cut out, and now I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle to that sun. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to do it with embossing powders. Okay, so if you want to add embossing powders, you also need the embossing ink pad. So this is one in the packaging. This is how it looks. It's a clear stamping ink, and it means that the embossing powder can attach to it, and it's not going to sort of go anywhere once we heat it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I've got one open, all I'm going to do is press the sun quite firmly all over that ink pad. It is a little bit sticky, so you can always wipe your hands after. Okay, and then it ends up going a slightly darker colour. Now I'm going to want my funnel tray from previously, so I'm just going to empty out that mint julep glitter. That's why it's really handy, because there's basically half a pot in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my sun in the funnel tray, and then I'm using some yellow or limoncello embossing powder, and again, just like the glitters, the sequins, the cardstock, everything like that, it's part of our colour story, so everything matches. So you don't have to worry about the colours not matching or something like that, and there's a colour for pretty much everything. So if you're wanting, again, to create something tonal, everything matches, which is really super handy. So I'm just going to shake that over the top, and at the moment it looks like a really fine glitter almost, but once I shake off the excess, then put it to one side. Once you add heat, it all melds together. Okay. So again, I'm going to bring in my heat gun and my heat mat that I used earlier, and just pop it on the highest heat and give it a couple of seconds, and you'll see the powder meld together and create this sort of shiny surface, shiny glittery surface almost. Okay, so you can see that's all melted together and it's changed colour slightly, and you've got that lovely glittery surface. If you're not happy with how it's come out with one layer, you can always go back in and add an extra layer of the ink pad and then an extra layer of the powder and just heat it again. That's absolutely fine. That's what I've done here, and you can see it's a little bit brighter and bolder, so hopefully you can see that. There we go. So we've got our sun. So we've got our sun element, we've got our rainbow, and then I've also cut some extra clouds out from some more of the opulent cardstock. This is from the Ivory opulent cardstock. So just to give you an idea of some of the different tones of that opulent. And then again, I've got some of the gold opulent cardstock. This is the matte shade with some adhesive sheet on the background, and I've just cut the sentiment out from that set. So I'm actually going to peel that off and stick that down. So I'm going to stick this in the corner, I think. So we've got that there. Then I'm just going to use some of our matte foam tape, and just pop some of this on the background because I want this slightly raised, and you can just rip this with your fingers, save messing up your scissors. So I'm going to pop that there, maybe a little higher, about there. Ooh. Okay, and then I think that sun is going to go just behind. And then I can add in these clouds down here. So got some of my express glue. There we go. So we've got there. And you can play around with the different textures of the cardstock, and you can layer them up with the foam tape as well. Completely up to you. I'm going to put one more, maybe down here. I might actually put this on some foam tape. There we go, and then just pop this sun in the background. And there you have another card made with some of our fantastic making essentials. So obviously the main stars of this were the stencil film and that gorgeous embossing powder as well, but we've also used loads of different other bits, from the opulent cardstock to the adhesive sheets and stuff like that. So I'll just bring in the first card as well, and hopefully you can see both of those really nicely, really clearly, and you enjoyed watching me make them today. Thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed running through those two makes with me and you enjoyed both of them, whether it was the shrink plastic or the more stencil film one. Let me know which one was your favourite and which one you are potentially going to recreate over the next month or so. I'd love to see some photos of your versions. That would be amazing. If you are interested in checking out any of the making essentials that I mentioned today, make sure to head on over to the Sizzix website where you'll see everything. It's even in its own little section. You can go to the Making Essentials section and it's all there in one place, so you can check out all of those fun stuff super easy. Okay, so thanks again for joining me today, guys. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, stay safe and keep crafting. Bye.